Hello everyone, welcome to the channel Codeword once again, and this is Kaushik. So how are you all? Hope you all are aware about the current critical situation due to the COVID-19 virus spread in India as well as in the whole world. So our government is also trying their best to keep this thing under control. They are asking us to stay at home. So I am also requesting you, please stay at home, be safe, and also please follow the health guideline to stop the virus spread. Most of the big cities in our country are currently locked down and offices are also closed. So most of you, I think, at home currently and watching the news about the current situation. The big IT giants like Microsoft, Google launched their site to provide us latest news and stats on the pandemic. So I thought to make a video on how we can develop our own tracking site on this COVID-19 virus spread. Okay. So in this video, we shall develop a tracking application on this pandemic situation. So to develop such application, we need data about the situation, right? Which I can find easily in the internet. I shall show you soon enough. Apart from that, let me tell you that I am expecting that you have basic knowledge on HTML, CSS, jQuery, Ajax, and some web server like WAMP, XAMPP, or LAMP. So that's it, and I'm telling you that this is not going to be a very beginner video because I am expecting that you have knowledge on Ajax, jQuery, etc. I have my jQuery tutorial video series. You can get the link at the top, and also you could check it out if you have any doubt on jQuery concepts and etc. Okay, so that's it. Let's dive into the coding.
Okay, so as you can see that in my system the WAMP server is already installed, and I have created some subfolders inside the www folder of the WAMP server installation path. And this index.html is going to be our primary application UI page, and the jQuery JS is the library of the jQuery. Okay, so if I now go to the coding in the VS Code, then you can see that the basic structure of the HTML is being provided by the editor itself, and I have also the jQuery JS library. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier that we need the data to build this particular application, and for that I searched internet a bit and I found an API by which we can get this data. Okay, so let me go to my notepad. I noted it down here, and if I now go to the browser and paste it, and then if I go to this particular URL, then you can see that I am getting a JSON response. Okay, so this JSON response consists the virus spread information country wise. So using this JSON response, we can make our application. So this is going to be our data source. Okay, so apart from that, we want to add a visual map in our application, and in for each country we want to show some visualized data. Okay, so to create the map in our application, we need to add a library. Okay, so there is a site, you can say that the jvectormap.com. So you can go to this particular site, and so they use the SVG map. So it is very much useful for any kind of application where you want to use some kind of map, maybe the country map or the full world map. That is a very useful library. Okay, so I'm going to show you that how you can use this particular map in your application. So let me go to the download section of this particular site, and now you can see that it is showing the latest version as 2.0.5. So let's download the version 2.0.5 of JVectorMap. So the zip file is downloaded. Now if I open it, you can see that there are two files here. Okay, one is the CSS, another is the JS file. So both are required for our purpose. So let me extract it to my specified folder. So let me go to the C drive, then inside the WAMP server in the www folder, and then inside the heads folder I need to extract it. Okay, so I have extracted it. So if I now go to the editor, so you can see both of this CSS and JS file are appeared here. Okay, so apart from that, we need to download one more thing here, so that we can also download from this site. So that is the map file itself. So if you go to the map, you can see there are many maps available here, country wise map and few city wise maps also, and the world wise map. Okay, so you need to click on this particular world option, and then you click on this second tab, okay. And then there is the option to download it. So if you click on this download, you can get the full code of this particular JS file, okay. So let's copy the full code here, and I'm going to the VS Code editor, and now I'm creating a file. Let's make it as world.js, okay. And inside this JS file, let me paste the full code that I copied from this particular page, okay. So that's all the required libraries and the CSS style sheet which we are going to use in our application, okay. So all the downloads are completed now. Now we need to link these external JavaScript libraries and the CSS style sheet with our application. So let's start that. Let's start with the style sheet, okay. So we have already added four required style sheets and the JavaScript libraries in our application. Now we are going to start our coding for the UI part, okay. So now let's go to this particular site from where we have downloaded this JVector map. So there is a tutorial section here, okay. So you don't have to learn everything, rather the code samples are provided very simple manner in this section. So you can just copy it and paste it in your application to use it. There are many customizable options here also, which we are going to use now, okay. So first we need to create a container where we want to show our map, okay. So let's make a div here, div class equals to map container, okay. And ID also I'm keeping as same, map container, and div close, okay. So let me add some styling for this map container in the style section inside the body, okay. So let me add a new style tag here, and inside the style tag let me add styling for the map container, okay. So before adding style to the map container, let me add some global styling for the whole application. The first thing is padding is 0, margin is 0, and then the font family I want to keep it for the rest of the application as sans serif, okay. So that's it. Now inside the map container, let me put the styling as position absolute, and then width should be 100%, height should be 100%, and finally overflow should be hidden, okay. So that's it. Now we have created our map container. Let me put some gaps so that it becomes understandable. Now all I want to do is that I need to put the map inside this map container, okay. And for that you can go to this code section and you can just copy it for our application, okay. So let me add a new script tag for our own JavaScript coding, okay. And inside this and inside this script tag, let me define a function. What should I say? It's a load map, okay. And inside the load map, let me add this code, okay. So just copy this line here and paste it, okay. So they are using the container ID as world map, but we are using the container ID as map container. So just replace with our name, and that's it. So now if you see that they are using the map as the world mill, but if you open our world.js file, then you can see that it is, instead of world mill, it is world mark, okay. So just replace this thing here, okay. So that's it. Now if I go to the browser and try to open my application via WAMP server, so that will be localhost / codeboard vids, okay. Sorry, my WAMP server is not running now, so let me first start the WAMP server from here. Okay, so it is started. Now if I refresh this page, Okay, so basically what happened is that we declared the world map function, but we didn't call it. So let's call the function load map here. Okay, so that's the issue here. Okay, so as you can see, the map is appeared in our application. Okay, so now we want to do is that we want to set some color for each country differently based on the infected cases. Okay, so now if you go to this getting started page for this particular J vector map, you can see that they have some example. They are showing the map color based on the GDP data. They are showing here as an example, but we are going to set color for the each country based on the number of infected cases from COVID-19 virus. Okay, so for that, first we need to create some data structure like this. It's a JavaScript object simply. So to create the data structure, we need to collect the data from this particular URL I showed you earlier. Okay, so let me create an Ajax call here to this particular URL to get the JSON response. Okay, so Ajax, and inside that URL is that particular URL, and then in success function data and console log data. So if I get some response, that needs to be printed inside the console. That is what is our purpose. Okay, so let me go to the browser and let me open the console in the browser for our application, and if I refresh it, you can see that the data is appeared here, right? So inside the JSON, you can see that for each separate country, they are giving us some cases and everything. You know, the country info, what is the today's cases, what is the number of days, today dates, etc. Each and every data is available in this particular API. So all I need to do is that I need to take the data values from here and need to create such data structure, and then I need to set this data structure inside this map UI so that I can set various kind of color based on the infected cases. Okay, so for that, let me go to the code and let me loop over this data. So if you see that this is basically an array, so I can definitely loop over this particular array. So let's make a loop here var I equals to 0, I less than data dot length I plus plus, and now take, sorry, I made a mistake here. Okay, so that's it. Now let's take the first element. How you can do it? Element equals to data I, right? Now each element inside this array is nothing but an object, right? So there are key values pair inside this particular object. So this element, which is data and the index I, so that is basically an object. So now what we can do is that we can take the total infected cases, that is cases, this one. So total infected cases from this particular object. So let's define another variable var total cases equals to, just keep the variable name same as the JSON. So cases equals to element dot cases, right? So now we have the number of infected cases for any particular country. But if you go to this particular data structure, you can see that this is going to be our cases which is already received from this JSON by this element dot cases. But in the key section, we need to set up the country name in a short form. Okay, so if you go to the JSON and inside the country info, in the ISO2 key, you are going to get the country short name. Okay, so let's receive that thing. So let's go to the code and var country equals to element dot, then I need to go to the country info. Okay, so country info dot, and then I need to call the ISO2, right? So ISO2. Okay, so now I have the country name and I have the country wise total cases. Okay, so now let's create the data structure. So to create the data structure, let me define a blank object before the loop. Var infected data equals to a blank object. Okay, so inside this infected data object, I want to set this data as a key value pair, right? So infected data country equals to cases, right? Now outside the loop, I am printing this particular infected data object to so that you can understand that how this data structure has been created. Okay, so console.log infected data. Okay, so let me comment out this data, console.log data. Okay, so now if I go to the browser and refresh our application, so you can see that the data structure which we have created, that is appeared here. Okay, now all we need to do is that we need to set up this data inside this map so that the each country takes some separate color like this. Okay, so how they did it? So what they are doing is that they are initializing this map in this way, and they are setting this GDP data which is declared here in this values key. Okay, so all we have to do is that just copy over the full thing and just go here and paste everything in here. Okay, so let me make the indentation proper. Okay, so that's it. Now we don't need to add this one because we have initializing the map inside the success function. So we need to change the container ID from world map GDP to world container. Okay, and for the GDP data value, we need to change it into the infected data, right? And also I am just commenting it here, and I will show you later for this section. Okay, so now you can see that there is a key value pair as scale. Okay, so what does this scale mean? So if you go to this particular map, you can see that it is basically dividing the country based on the shades of blue. Okay, so in some countries the blue is deeper, in some countries the blues are a bit of light. So based on the GDP data, they are dividing it in this way. So the more blue indicates that the GDP data is high. Okay, so in our cases also we want to show that wherever the infection is higher, the red color should be more deeper. Okay, so they are basically scaling the blue color from this value to this value. Okay, okay, so if you want to check this hex color, let's go to another tab and let's write hex color code. Okay, so sorry, this should be hex color code, and let me go to this particular side and let me paste the hex color code. So as you can see, this is the light blue, and if you copy it from here and paste it over here, you are going to get a deep blue. So basically they are scaling the data from this deep light blue to this deep blue. Okay, so we want to scale our data from white to red, and for that we need to set up the white hex color here. So that is FF, FF and FF, and for the red it is 00 FF, FF. Okay, so it should be 00, right? Okay, so that's it. So now let me go to the browser and refresh our application. So okay, so I forgot to change the name to world mark from world mill. So where is that? So this needs to be changed, as I showed you earlier that this should be world mark. Okay, so that's it. Let me go to the page and refresh it. Okay, so this doesn't become red, instead of it becomes blue for our case also. So it should be, I did it wrong actually, it should be like this. Okay, so let me go to this browser and refresh it. So as you can see that the maps are now segregated based on the red color. So that deep red means most infected area, that is China, you know, right? Our country India, it is now increasing but still not as high as China or Italy or some other countries. So this is much lower shade of the red is showing here. Okay, but as you can see that in our application currently we are not getting any number. Okay, so how many are infected here and how many are cured, etc. So for that we need to add few more codes.